Creating an Original Song, Project B, Part 18. It has been a while since I have updated y'all on this project, which is not to say that I haven't been working on it, on the contrary, but it's been tumultuous these past couple of weeks. And it all started with the percussion. Long story short, I started to write everything out in MuseScore to be played by live musicians. I wished also for the percussion to be played by live instruments, so I had to figure out how to do that. I had envisioned for the piece 2 percussion ensembles, a taiko drum ensemble, and an orchestral percussion ensemble. A heavy percussion ensemble, in other words. And if I were to have that played by live musicians on live acoustic instruments, I would have gone broke. So it was my challenge to try to figure out how to get all of those percussion sounds with the minimal number of players. And what I decided to do was write for 2 separate drum kits with the intention of taking the samples that I've been using in the computer and sending them to a V drum kit. And at the end of the day, I would have 2 drummers playing on 2 V drum kits, one with orchestral percussion sounds and another with taiko percussion sounds. And that's what I was working on for a while, figuring out how to notate for drum kit, figuring out how I was going to get V drum kits, hire somebody that owns one already, buy one and fool around with it on my own to make sure that what I'm writing is playable. There were options for sure, and I was exploring them. However, I came to realize that the payoff of doing it this way, which is getting a live human-like performance, was rather limited because I'm still using sample sounds. So it really would have just been a matter of having the triggering of those samples be more human-like. So I decided that that just wasn't worth it. It was becoming too much of a headache. There were too many moving parts. I had no idea what I was doing when writing for drum kit. So the V-drum kit idea is dead. No more V-drums. What we are instead going to do is record a backing track of percussion. So when it gets to the point that we go to a studio to record this thing, there will be me, a violin player, a cello player, a piano player, a French horn player, and then a pre-recorded percussion track that we will all be playing along with. And that will get this project done a whole lot quicker and a whole lot cheaper. So once I made that decision, I went into Cubase and started fiddling around trying to come up with a percussion track, which led to another issue. Not really an issue, but a thing. It led to another thing, which was that the MIDI tracks that I have recorded are all kinds of imbalanced and crunchy and raw and machine-like, and it made it difficult for me to be able to hear what should happen with the percussion. It's not the biggest issue in the world. Like I said, it's not really an issue at all, but I made the decision to do the following. Finish notating for the acoustic melodic instruments in MuseScore, send that off to musicians, have them record it individually, transport those recordings into a new Cubase window, do some quick mixing, record a quick vocal mock-up, and then work out the percussion line. So long story short, I am working under the assumption that once I have all of the melodic acoustic instruments ducks in line, it will give me a much better idea of what the percussion should sound like, thereby making it easier for me to write the backing track. And even if that doesn't turn out to be true, I think it's a good thing to start sending this out to musicians anyway, because the juices have to start flowing. I spent a couple of weeks hung up on percussion, and then it just started spiraling into being hung up on a bunch of small details, and this needs to keep moving forward. So that's what we're doing. And that is where I pick up today, continuing the notation of the acoustic instruments. I am already through with verse 1, chorus 1, verse 2. I have the pre-chorus 2 and the second chorus to go. And then I get to the bridge, which I still have to write. And then chorus 3, outro, and done. So I would like to say that I will be able to start sending this off to musicians in 2 weeks. But feel free to completely ignore that little timeline, because more often than not, my timelines are nonsense. But that's the goal. 2 weeks. It's good to have a goal. Keeps me on track. I'm at a point in this project where I traditionally start nitpicking and second guessing and going back and changing things and getting crazy, which is why sometimes it's really, really good to have a deadline. If I were performing this and had a set date of performance, I would have to get it done by that date, and I would not be able to go back and second guess myself. The downside to that is that oftentimes when that happens, I have to push forward anyway, and I end up hating the thing by the time the performance arrives, because I know that there are things that I would like to fix but didn't have time to fix. So that's not necessarily good either. There's a give and a take, a push and a pull. But that is why I am trying to keep the juices flowing and keep pushing forward and am doing things like setting goals. Because going completely without that is just as bad as having a deadline that's too soon. It will hopefully prevent me from falling into the mud of overthinking, which I have a knack for. So, rambling done, project is moving. I tried to not go crazy. Until next time.